Hello, today we will be discussing the answer for day 1 of our 30-day revision plan. The day 1 questions were related to geography and particularly the geomorphology part. The questions included all the basic concepts from geomorphology. We will go through the questions one by one and we will let you know the logic and necessary concepts which you need while attempting the UPSC Prelims examination. First question, consider the following statements. Presence of stromatolites indicates the time period where Earth started to be oxygenated. Second statement, information about the origin of Earth can be extracted from samples of rocks and minerals. Which of the above statements is or are correct? 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, neither 1 nor 2. So the first question is related to origin and evolution of Earth. And while going through the statements, you can directly assume or get to the conclusion that the statement 2 is right, because it says that information about the origin of Earth can be extracted from samples of rocks and minerals. So that is how we are finding out about the origin of Earth and how it evolved. So the basic source of information for us are the rocks and minerals which were present at that time. So that can be marked as correct from our basic reading itself. So 2 is correct. So either B or C will be the answer. It depends on whether 1 is correct or not. Statement 1 is correct or not. So while reading the statement 1, you will be confused about the stromatolites. The statement says that presence of stromatolites indicates the time period where Earth started to be oxygenated. So what we know from our basic reading is that when Earth originated, it was not composed of oxygen. When the living organisms and living plants came into existence, then only Earth started to become oxygenated. Okay. Once the living plants and organisms evolved, due to photosynthesis, a large amount of carbon dioxide was absorbed and oxygen was released. So, based on that assumption, you can keep this one as right as well. Okay. Stromatolites are actually layers of rocks which consist of cyanobacteria. Cyanobacteria are actually photosynthetic in nature. The presence of cyanobacteria indicate that photosynthesis has started to happen. So the presence of stromatolites indicate the time period from which Earth started to become oxygenated. Okay, so both the statements are correct. Question number 1, answer is both 1 and 2, option C. Question number 2. Consider the following statements. Earth's magnetic field protects the Earth from radiation and high energy plasma from the sun. The presence of silicates and high conductivity of the mantles are a major reason for the origin of Earth's magnetic field. Which of the above statements is or are correct? 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, neither 1 nor 2. Because of the presence of Earth's magnetic field, we know that a large amount of solar radiations are not reaching the Earth. The Earth's magnetic field causes these plasma radiations and high energy radiations to dissipate. So the first statement is correct. We have seen in physical geography the presence of aurora lights, also known as the northern lights and southern lights. So these auroras are formed due to the interaction between Earth's magnetic field and the emissions from sun. So first statement is correct. Second statement, the presence of silicates and high conductivity of the mantles are a major reason for the origin of Earth's magnetic field. The major source of Earth's magnetic field, as we know, is from the core. The presence of iron from core is the major reason for Earth's magnetic field. Silica is not a big conductor. Rather, it is made into a conductor through addition of impurities and all. So, an element which can work as a magnet or which can induce magnetic field is the presence of iron. Okay, that is available in core. Okay, so the question number 2, statement 1 is correct but 2 is not correct. So option A, 1 only. Let's move to question number 3. Drumlins and eskers are landforms belonging to. glacial landforms, fluvial landforms, karst landforms, aeolian landforms. Aeolian landforms are actually wind landforms. So drumlins and eskers, we need to know on which landform it belongs to. This is a rather direct question or a factual question which we cannot answer without knowing the facts. The previous two questions which we can come to the answer by knowing our basic facts or by linking the basic facts to the question, but this one is more a factual question. So drumlins and eskers, you need to know that it is glacial landforms. They are glacial depositional landforms. Question number 3, option A is the answer. You need to understand, you need to study all the major erosional and depositional landforms arised from glacial, fluvial, karst, aeolian landforms. Okay, these are the main agents which causes the formation of landforms in the earth. You need to have a basic understanding of which landforms belong to which agents. Question number 3, option A. Let's move to question number 4. Occurrence of landslides or avalanches in the Western Ghats can be attributed to tectonically unstable younger geological formations, displacement of the tectonic plates due to severe underlying seismic activities, heavy rainfall during monsoon season, and associated slope failures. Statement number 1 and statement number 2, if you read it closely, you will understand that the statements 1 and 2 is saying that Western Ghats is tectonically unstable and it is prone to more seismic activities. But we know that from the earthquake zonation of India, the higher seismic activities are prone in the areas surrounded by Himalayas. That is in Northeast India, in Bihar region, where in the Nepal Bihar region or the Nepal Bihar border, and in around the Ladakh region, and also in some part in Gulf of Kutch. These are the main areas where earthquake prone or seismic activities are very high in nature, because these are the plate boundaries. Okay, so earthquake prone regions will be the plate boundaries. Also, Western Ghats is not an younger geological formation, it is rather an older geological formation. So statement 1 and 2 will be definitely wrong. Statement 3 will be definitely correct, because heavy rainfall during monsoon and associated slope failures. We know that Western Ghats receive a large amount of monsoon rainfall, so it can induce slope failures. Okay, so fourth question, option C, 3 only. Fifth question, rocks getting broken up due to frost action is mainly an example of physical weathering, mass movement, chemical weathering, biological weathering. Frost can cause the rocks to be broken up. The action of frost can expand and congest the rocks. The process can go on for a long time and ultimately the rocks can be broken up. The breaking up of rocks will only induce changes in its physical state. Okay, there will be no change in its chemical formulas, or chemical changes will not happen. Therefore, option A, physical weathering, is the answer. Fifth, option A, physical weathering. Option D, biological weathering. It can happen in the presence of biological agents, such as a biological plant. If a plant is breaking up a rock, it can be attributed to biological weathering. But in this case, it is a physical change that is happening. The agent is frost action and not a biological agent. Therefore, the weathering type is physical weathering. Fifth, option A. Sixth question, which of the following mentioned below is the idea on which plate tectonics theory is based? Oceanic crust of Earth is older than continental crust and is relatively stable. Continents float over the oceanic crust at slow rates, and it is a reason for movements of different continents. Radius and area of Earth have remained fairly stable over the time since its genesis. Heat flow from radioactive decay from inside Earth's core is surpassed by the cooling that takes place in Earth's interior. So we need to identify the basic concept of plate tectonics theory out of these 4 options. Okay, try with the elimination technique. Okay, the basic concepts of plate tectonics says that the crust, there are several plates that undergo convergence or divergence. The converging plates will undergo subduction and it involves destruction of crust, while the divergence of plate boundaries will cause the emergence of new crust boundaries. The emergence of new crust will be compensated with the destruction of subducted crust. So that means the total area in which the crust is formed will be constant. As an example, you can note that the Atlantic Sea will be having mid-oceanic ridge and new crust will be developed in Atlantic Ocean, but in Pacific Ocean to its boundaries a large amount of subduction of the oceanic crust happens. Okay, while the Atlantic Ocean is enlarging itself, the Pacific Ocean is converging or destroying itself, but at a slower rate. So that means the overall radius and area of Earth will not be expanding. So it will be stable. Option C is the answer. And you can also eliminate it through option elimination techniques, because option A can be eliminated because it says oceanic crust is older than continental crust and it is relatively stable. We know that it is not relatively stable, it is unstable due to the tectonic actions or the plate boundary actions taking place in Pacific plate and other plates. Option B can also be eliminated because continents floating over the oceans is an idea of continental drift theory. So option A and option B can be eliminated. Similarly, option D can also be eliminated because plate tectonic theory will also include the mantle convection theories as well, because the hot magma is emerging from the asthenosphere and from the mantle part. So the radioactive decay and the production of mantle, it is coming to the earth's surface as magma. So that means the heat flow from radioactive decay from inside earth is not surpassed. If it was surpassed, such actions will not be happening in the earth's crust. So option C is the answer. Sixth option C. Seventh, deep ocean trenches are evidences that indicate rising of hot asthenosphere deep from the mantle, transform faulting between an oceanic plate and continental plate. Option C, rifting beneath a continental plate and the beginning of continental drift. Option D, sinking of oceanic lithosphere into the mantle at a subduction zone. First of all, understand what is or think about what is the concept of deep oceanic trenches. Deep oceanic trenches are normally observed at the subduction zones. That is correct. You can observe many oceanic trenches in Pacific plate. So, the area where the trenches are formed will be the plate boundary between an oceanic crust and another continental crust. The most obvious example is Pacific plate converging with North American and South American plates. Pacific plate, when it converges with the North American plates, it forms trenches at the boundaries. That trenches will be the zone where the oceanic crust, being denser, will subduct into the continental crust and it will be melted once it reaches the asthenosphere. The detailed diagram is provided in the answer key. Please go through it as well. Option A and option D are very close. Out of the two options, option D is the better suited one, because rising of hot asthenosphere deep from the mantle does not often happen at the plate boundaries. Rather, it happens from the mantle at a zone which is some kilometers inside the continental crust. It does not happen at the boundary. Okay, deep oceanic trenches are the evidences that indicate sinking of oceanic lithosphere into the mantle at a subduction zone. Option B and option C can be easily eliminated because transform faulting will not result into the formation of deep oceanic trenches. And option C, continental drift, is an outdated concept. We are dealing with plate tectonics. Option B and option C are false. Question number 8. If an earthquake has a measure of 5.0 in the Richter scale and another earthquake has a measure of 4.0 in the same scale, it indicates that the first earthquake has 10 times more intensity than second, 10 times more magnitude than second, 100 times more intensity than second, 100 times more magnitude than the second. The earthquake which has a recording of 5 in Richter scale always measures the magnitude. The earthquake magnitude and earthquake intensity are different. So the Richter scale measures the earthquake magnitude. Also, it is a logarithmic scale. So a change in magnitude of 1 indicates that the strength increases to, or the magnitude increases to 10 times more than the first one. Okay. From 4 to 5, it indicates that the magnitude changes to 10 times. So option A is the answer. Question number 8, option A. Question number 9. With reference to the World Population Prospects 2019 report, consider the following statements. It predicts that the highest rate of growth of population in the world will be in South Asia. It also predicts that India will overtake China as the most populous country by 2050. Which of the above statements is or are correct? 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, neither 1 nor 2. Even though you have not gone through the World Population Prospects 2019 report, some basic concepts which you can apply. It says that the highest rate of growth of population in the world will be in South Asia. We already know that due to better family planning programs, we have controlled that population explosion stage, and even the population explosion stage has been a long time ago, some 40 to 50 years ago. The highest rate of growth of population will be in the areas where there is an emergence of medical care facilities. So with the help of emergence of better medical care facilities, the abnormally high death rate will be reduced and the birth rate will be remaining the same. So in those areas, the rate of population growth will be higher. Definitely in South Asia, the population explosion stage has already passed, and also several states in India has reached the total fertility rate of about 2.1. So that means our population explosion stage is already over, and our rate of growth of population will not be the highest in the world. The highest in the world will be in sub-Saharan region, where due to better medical care facilities, it is undergoing a population explosion stage. And second statement, it predicts that India will overtake China as the most populous country by 2050. That is not right. Actually, China, due to its one-child policy and all, have tried to adopt an aggressive child control measure. So, China is already reducing its population growth, and India is slowly increasing, even though its rate of growth is not the highest in the world. So, India will overtake China as the most populous country by 2027. That is according to the report. 9th question, option D, neither 1 nor 2. Question number 10, it is also based on current affairs. With reference to the Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education Act, consider the following statements. The Act lays down norms and standards relating to the infrastructure required at elementary schools. It prohibits all kinds of discriminations based on gender, caste, class, and religion in elementary schools. It introduced a continuous comprehensive evaluation system to ensure grade appropriate learning outcomes in schools. Select the correct answer using the code given below. 1 and 2 only, 2 and 3 only, 1 and 3 only, 1, 2 and 3. RTE is a monumental act, provided free education for the students belonging to elementary schools. So all the provisions shall be there in this act, which will empower the child's education in terms of accessibility, affordability, and even improving the learning outcome. Famous provisions which RTE had was a no detention policy. That is, no child will be detained due to the poor learning outcomes. But the RTE Act has provided a separate solution for the no detention policy. That solution was continuous comprehensive evaluation system. So replacing the no detention policy, the RTE Act introduced a continuous comprehensive evaluation system where the teachers will continuously evaluate the performance of students without having to demote or detain any students. So the statement 3 is correct. Statement 1 and 2, that is very direct statements, that should also be right. All the statements are correct. Question number 10, option D, 1, 2 and 3. So that's it for today's discussion. Tomorrow the discussion will be based on the questions that are sent tomorrow. So if you have any suggestions or any doubts, please comment on the YouTube channel. Thank you.